All right, that was the talented Jesse Salinas that you just heard on his awesome bass. Thanks for playing for us.
Absolutely.
So Jesse is on the podcast today because he's the composer for the Get a Student Life theme song. And so I thought it'd be fun to have you on today, hear about your musical background, and hear some of your music in person. So thanks for being on the Get a Student Life podcast today.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah. And I'm excited to hear about your music journey and how you got to where you are now. But first, our question of the day is, what song gets stuck in your head constantly?
Constantly? Ooh. Oh, gosh. I can think of the songs that have been in my head recently.
Right.
But
okay, those work too.
Yeah. One song is Me enamoró de alguien, which is a Spanish song. And then
Fun.
Another one that's been stuck in my head is I Hear a Symphony. That's what it's called.
Okay. Do those songs rotate throughout your head, or it's like once you hear it? Because for me, once I hear a song, like maybe a couple times, maybe even once, it's stuck in my head for days, and it annoys the heck out of my roommates. Like they sing one lyric of a song and then I'm singing it for the next, like the whole day or the next couple of days. So it just really any song will get stuck in my head.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat. And especially being a musician, you train yourself to learn melodies and memorize them really fast. And so you get the stupidest tunes stuck in your head super easily. And it's a blessing and a curse. It really is.
That's an interesting point, because it might not be lyrics, but just little tunes. Or so when you were composing our theme song, did that get stuck in your head while you're working on it?
Oh, yeah. So the story behind the theme song, this was a melody that I had come up on my bass probably like summer of 2021. And so I had written it into this full string orchestra piece that we were going to play in my high school orchestra, and then it just never ended up happening. So I just had the melody in my back pocket.
Okay.
And it was like, okay, here we are 3 years later. It's time to pull it back out and use it for this situation. And it's one of those melodies that for those 3 years was always in the back of my head that I could just pull out and be like, what was that again? Oh yeah, it's this melody.
You knew it had a reason for something, but just it didn't come around yet. That's really cool. And then did you adapt it from like the original melody, or what was your process for putting it together finally?
Yeah. So a lot of the process for your podcast theme was I messed around with it on the bass, just figured out like what are some fun variations that I can do on this, and then really it was just a lot of write down this melody in the program and then start messing around with it, come up with new ideas, come up with variations, and then try and extend it out to a full minute.
All right, very cool. And how long have you been playing the bass for?
This summer marks the beginning of my 5th year.
Okay.
So,
and do you play other instruments besides bass? Or is that your favorite one?
Bass is my favorite by far, and definitely the one I play the most. Mm-hmm. But I own a collection of just really weird, unique instruments.
Oh, fun.
And so I enjoy playing those on occasion.
Okay, what's like the weirdest instrument you own then?
The weirdest one?
Not typical instrument.
Probably, it's called a Q chord.
Q chord.
It's from like the 80s. They don't make them anymore. They were probably only made for like a year and a half or 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And then
so you snatched one.
Yep. I think I got it off of Amazon.
That's funny.
For super cheap as well. It should have been several $100s, and I got it for like $30 or something.
Right.
But how it's made, you play it on your lap, and it's in like the shape of a Q. If you imagine the long part of the Q, you have all these different chords. They're buttons that you press these chords, and it plays the chord. So it's a guitar in that aspect. In the circle of the Q, there's this keyboard that plays in whatever key you press your chord in. And so if I press an E major chord, I'm going to get that E, G sharp, B, just in my piano, and then can just mess around with that. Switch chords, changes the key, and it's such a weird and unique thing to play.
So interesting.
And then because it's the 80s, they also have a bunch of like drum patterns and really weird, goofy stuff included. And so it's just a really fun thing to mess around with.
Oh.
Not very usable in any musical situation other than messing around
Than
with
having
it.
fun.
Yeah.
So what does it sound like? You said it has like drum beats in it?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of really bad drum beats. It's the 80s, so they've done a bunch of different electronic voices. So you have synth strings, you have a keyboard, you have guitar, you have banjo, like a variety of interesting sounds.
Very interesting. Sounds like a very versatile instrument. Like you could just learn that and sound like you know a bunch of other instruments.
Yeah. If you brought an amp and went and played it out in the street, people would give you money. That's for sure.
That's hilarious. I wanna see that. You should bring it on campus sometime. Do some busking or something. That's allowed. I would love to know like where your passion for music began and kind of what that how that path has progressed for you.
Yeah. So my music journey kind of starts, well, it really starts all the way back when I was in second grade. I really wanted to play the piano. We had this really cheap electric keyboard that like my grandma gave to us. And so I really wanted to learn piano, begged my parents, please, 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 like let me take lessons. Mm-hmm. And so we had a family friend who taught piano. And so she took me as her student. Later on, we would learn to discover that she was Post Malone's aunt. And I also took piano lessons from her before Post Malone was a big thing.
That's so random. What a funny connection.
But yeah,
cool.
I learned from her for a couple months, and then second grade, I had no motivation to do anything. I just wanted to, eat food and play video games, as every boy does. And so I just begged my parents, please, 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 don't get me out of these piano lessons. I don't want to do this anymore. So I stopped that just short-lived musical experience, and then going into fifth grade, jumped into the elementary orchestra. I picked up viola, and I played that all throughout elementary and junior high. And then I just as a fun thing, it's fun to have an elective class, just get to go mess around with friends and play bad sounding notes. And I was very bad at viola, so it was very much just a lot of squeaks and everything like that. But
you gotta do the experimentation to figure out what's your instrument.
Absolutely. And so going into my freshman year, my friend who played bass, and he was the only bassist in our junior high orchestra, he decided I want this elective space for something else. I don't want to continue doing bass. And so I'm like, okay, I think bass is cool. I'll switch, and I'll just take the burden of having to lug this thing around and deal with it.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, but the bigger, the better. That is the truth.
Oh, okay.
With every
so there are
instrument.
different sizes?
Of basses, there are.
Okay. Or like any string instrument, the bigger the better, you're saying?
Yep.
Got you.
Well, even the biggest instruments, I think the biggest one is an organ that's built into a cave in Spain or something like that. And it's...
Have you seen it or just pictures?
I want to go see it. That'd be so amazing.
Bucket list item.
Absolutely. But if you can imagine, this thing is literally shaking a cave as it's playing. I think that
echoing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
The music is literally in the space around you. It'd be so cool. So this is the closest I can get while also staying portable.
Oh, yes.
But so yeah, my friend, he dropped bass, so I picked it up, and I was like, okay, everybody else in orchestra, they have 4 or 5 years experience. I'm coming into bass with absolutely nothing. I only know how to play viola. I need to get lessons. I need to get involved in something. I need to do something to actually get better. And so I got a private teacher, Jason Prindle, amazing, wonderful man. And then I also started doing some music summer camps. And it was through a lot of those camps that I met other local musicians, and I was able to actually connect with people and get opportunities to play in bigger groups. And so going into high school, I started playing in the Boise Philharmonic Youth Orchestra and attending the Idaho Orchestra Institute summer camp, and just all these different activities that really made me realize wow, Boise has such a growing and live music community. Yeah. And especially with classical music, you never hear about that. So to see other people actually making a living off of doing classical music and performing consistently, it's very inspiring to see wow, this is actually something I can do and aspire to do, and I love, and I can maybe even make a job out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you see yourself like staying in Boise and expanding the music community in that way, or going somewhere else?
I would not be upset staying in Boise. While we do have a growing music scene, it is not the biggest music scene, so it is hard to...
Like less opportunities for music in that way?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I get invited to a lot of the opportunities that we do have, a lot of the paid opportunities, I should say.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. No.
If anyone listening needs a bassist,
absolutely.
Then contact Jesse.
I play with like kind of more rock groups. I play with classical groups. I play with jazz groups. Like,
so cool.
Especially when you're in such a small music community and you're a bassist, you need to be extremely versatile and just be able to jump into whatever situation you need. And so
that's cool.
That's what I've learned.
Yeah. And so if you could play on any stage in the world, not even stage, if you could play in a cave if you want to do it. Like, if you could play anywhere in the world, no limitations, where would you want to go? Or where would you want to play?
I would love to play with the Berlin Philharmonic, which is like the group, like the orchestra of the whole world. Like, they're the one.
The World Orchestra. Yeah. Is it huge?
It is
People
huge.
From all over? Or?
Oh, yeah. No, the best of the best musicians apply for this job, and only the best of the best are allowed in.
All right.
And so, like, I get news updates of, like, this one musician who's been playing in the Berlin Phil for 20 years is now finally retiring. So there's an open space for you. I'm like, not for me. Definitely not.
That's really cool, though, because that could be a possibility one day. Might as well.
Fingers crossed that I can become such a great musician that is an available opportunity for me.
Absolutely. What other opportunities for like budding musicians or people that have been in music for a long time like yourself, what opportunities are there in Boise or at Boise State specifically?
At Boise State, University Orchestra, always taking in people. We have University Singers, which is a newer group for choirs and stuff. I've played bass with them, haven't sung with them. But and then we also have the audition choir, the Meister Singers, that they're always willing to take people. If you can sing, they will take you.
Are any of these considered like classes that people sign up for, or have to take prerequisites to be accepted in them, or what does that look like?
So these are all classes, no prerequisites, but you do need to, it will go on your schedule. You'll get a credit for it. Just one, though, unfortunately. But yeah, it is a time commitment, that is for sure. And I know a lot of people here at Boise State who want to keep playing music, but unfortunately just the time commitment to give up 3 days a week for a rehearsal or 2 days a week, it's not available.
That's a lot.
And so something that I would love to do is work to create a music group for people who still want to keep playing their instruments after high school, but don't want to give up, their Tuesday and Thursday evenings. Like, this would be more like a once a week thing.
And more flexible for people. That'd be a really cool opportunity to start up, especially if people just want to play music just because they enjoy it, or maybe don't even like have a goal to like go big with it or be on a stage, but just want to keep doing it to keep learning.
Absolutely. And you look at high school, so many people, when they come out of high school, the reason that they played an instrument was because they just loved doing it, and it was fun, and the community was fun. Why does that have to stop here in college? Why can't we also have fun making music?
Yeah, I feel the same way about dance because I've done that for a long time. And coming to Boise State, I was like, well, I don't know if maybe I'm just done dancing, and that was just a childhood, high school thing. And it took a minute to find the opportunities, but if you look, there's opportunities for almost any interest, any passion you have, whether it's like in a club or even around in the community. But Boise State has so much to offer in that way, I feel like.
And the wonderful thing about Boise State is if there's not that opportunity, that's just an open window for you to make that opportunity.
Such a good point. Absolutely. Because students can start their own club.
So it's not hard. It is not hard at all.
It amazes me how big the time commitment is to be in the music department, even if, like, for you, that's your world, that's your major. But for a lot of people that still want to pursue music, but also want to pursue another degree or a totally different field, it just takes so much more time. So how much time do you put into rehearsing?
Yeah. So On a normal day, I live at home still, so I commute to campus, get here at 9 a.m., and I'm usually here till about 6 or 7. So for me,
It's a long day.
to meet my music expectations and growth, I am doing pretty much a full 8-hour day or 9-hour day.
But basically in the Morrison Center the whole day?
For the majority of it,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. So you like basically live there.
Yeah, with the music community and music department, like, because we're all in that building so much, working so hard together and just living life together, we become a really tight-knit and close
cool.
community, which I think is such a pro for the music department. Just, I talk with business majors, how many other hundreds of business majors do we have? It's hard to build that tight-knit community of people doing a similar course and similar life plan as you. In music, we're all in this journey together, and there's at maximum 100 music majors.
Oh, wow. Okay. So fairly small. How else would you describe the music community that you've been a part of?
I'd say the community that I've experienced is very positive and very, very open, very accepting. We don't care what level of music capabilities you have. Mm-hmm. We just want you to come play with us and let's have fun and let's do this. Let's make music. Let's be musicians. Let's grow together. I think that is such an appealing aspect of the music community.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you have that support in each other, and you know that it is a huge time commitment and takes a lot to make it into a career and a lot of hard work. So to have those people that are also working towards the same thing, to be like, oh, you got it, and whatever support you need and helping you practice or whatever, I'm sure that goes a long way. And
also, because we're all so tight-knit, lowerclassmen, we know the upperclassmen. We can get help from the upperclassmen at any time.
Love that.
Like, encouragement from the upperclassmen, talking about, like, oh, I don't understand this music theory concept. Oh, I did that class. Here, let me help you out with that. Like, it's just so much of helping everybody build each other up.
I love that. What do you think is one of the biggest lessons you've learned by being in the music department during your time at Boise State?
I think this is a conversation we just had. If you want an opportunity, if you want an activity, if you want something, just do it. There's literally nothing holding you back. I've very much adopted that kind of idea into how I act in the music department. So like literally today, up on the 3rd floor, there are cookies and brownies that I've baked because I thought...
Ooh, all right. I know where I'm going after this.
I just thought like, hey, we're all tired and it's the end of the semester. We need to pick me up.
Yeah, that's so sweet.
Brownies and cookies sounds great. I want cookies and brownies, so why not just make them for everybody else? And there's literally nothing holding you back. Mm-hmm. Same thing, I thought it would be really fun if we had like some kind of video game or something to play upstairs while we're just, dying being music students and coming out of like 3-hour practice sessions. I brought a tiny TV and a Wii, and that is set up in the Morrison Center, and people play it all the time. It's a good brain break.
Yeah, I was just going to say a little brain break for you. That's good.
Like, nothing stops you from making an impact, from doing the stuff that you want to see. It's literally just you making that decision to take action.
Yeah, that's good advice. What impact do you want to leave on? So it sounds like music has made a big impact on you and the community that you're in, but what impact do you want to leave on music?
That is a great question. I think the biggest thing is kind of destigmatizing classical music. A lot of people view classical music as, it's written by the old white guys and it's all really boring and not interesting to listen to.
Background music.
Exactly. Whatever. But like the music I played, that's classical. Even though it doesn't fit Mozart or Beethoven style, like that is classical music. And a lot of film music, that is classical music. And so I really want to branch out, and the kind of music that I write in my compositions is very much in a modern kind of pop style and not so much, how did Mozart use I can't even think of a fancy music theory term to try and
Your guess is better than mine.
How did Mozart use this passing 5-6-5 chord in order to emphasize the point of this cadence? It's like, I don't think about that.
No.
I think I want a cool Latin groove in this classical music, and we're going to play it in an orchestra, and it happens.
Just a cool vibe.
Yeah. So, like, really just classical music is not just the boring, dull, old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It is just showing people, like, it's alive, and also it's not the super modern, weird, atonal of, like, I'm playing a bunch of random notes, and I'm calling it music. Like,
yeah.
there is so much music that feels like modern pop music that is just classical. And I really want to just share that both through playing that kind of music and also writing that kind of music just with the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I love that because I feel like I could listen to what you were just playing. I feel like I could listen to that for hours and just out of enjoyment, but I don't ever go and choose to listen to classical unless I need to get into like focus mode or something, which it's like soothing in that way and gets you focused. But yeah, I like the destigmatization. Oh, that's a hard word.
Yeah.
Destigmatization of classical music. I'm also interested to know if you use your musical talents for anything like outside of Boise State or outside of the music department, or have any other opportunities like in the community.
Mm-hmm. So I play with a couple of different groups. I just Tuesday I played with this one choir, the Boise Choristers. It's I hope they don't watch this podcast. It's a grandma choir. I am very much the youngest person in that room whenever we're rehearsing. But like I'm just pretty much walking bass underneath all the chord changes and everything while they're singing whatever choir music they're doing. I play with the millennial choirs and orchestras. They pay me, which is amazing.
Nice, we love that.
I play at my own church. I don't get paid for that, but I am fine with that.
Yeah, like serving on the worship team in that way. Very
Yep.
cool. What has that experience been like?
It's very different than when I first stepped into it. I was coming from, I'm a classical musician, I play notes written on a page, and now they're giving me letters and chords instead of like an actual physical line to play.
Okay.
So now I need to figure out this entire weird thing.
So the reading of the music is different.
Yes. So
Interesting.
in classical style, you expect literally written out notes of exactly what you're supposed to play, how you're supposed to play it. In jazz, half the time it's written, the other half the time it's just chords and you just got to figure it out. And then in pop music, they're not giving you anything. And you just need to go listen to the music, see what those players do, and then imitate that on your own instrument.
All right, that's an interesting process, and I'm sure you have to figure out how to learn songs in different ways in different environments. Would you say that?
Absolutely. I think really the biggest way is just listen and listen and listen and listen and listen. I don't know how many times, like, oh, I need to play this song on Sunday. Okay, I'm not too familiar with this song. On my car ride back, I'm just going to put this on repeat. And I listen to it 5 or 6 times, and then it's like, okay.
And then those songs get stuck in your head.
Oh, yeah. Stuck in your head for the next 3 days.
So you can learn it. Yeah.
And really, it does help so much just to, even if I'm not thinking about the bass line or the chord changes, if I can think of the melody, I can typically just figure out something underneath that, and it works.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so interesting to know because I'm not much of a... my only experience with music was learning piano for a stint, and I didn't continue because the time commitment. I was like, I was entering high school, and it's like, I don't have the time anymore. But that's one of my biggest regrets, and I feel like it's such a beautiful gift to be able to be musically talented and like share that with other people. Because, I mean, I can't think of anyone that doesn't enjoy music, and so to be able to share that with people is really awesome.
Yeah. And that's why I think building a community or building the opportunity on campus to do music as just a side thing, as a club, because exactly what you're saying, I don't think I've ever heard a person say, oh, I'm so glad that I quit this instrument. I'm so glad that I stopped music. I'm so glad that I stopped playing. Yeah. Nobody ever says that. So I do feel passionate about creating an opportunity on campus where we can just come together, And either if it's like a jam session, if it's actually here's sheet music and we're playing something formal, whatever it is, just something to keep people playing, because I really don't think it's something that you should just throw out because you don't have enough time.
Yeah, I'd agree. That kind of encourages me and inspires me to maybe pick something up again. We'll see. Because I wish I could be one of those people that just sits on the piano in the sub and like blesses everyone's ears, but I would not be able to do that. So my last question for you is like, what advice you would give to students to balance the music work life juggle, or even students who aren't in music that just still need to balance their passions and school and life? Like, what have you found to be helpful?
Definitely for me, like one like practical thing is use Google Calendar, time out everything.
You're like the third person on this podcast to say that. So Google Calendar, everyone. It
is the thing to do. And saying like, okay, from this block to this block, I'm studying, and no matter what, I am studying, and I'm gonna have a place set out, and there's nothing else except that in that dedicated hour or whatever. Mm-hmm. More, I think, a mindset change that I've experienced is just what are my priorities? Right now in my life, do I need to be focusing so much on how much money I make, or will I be okay for this week? Mm-hmm. And then I can put more of my focus into my studies. Or am I in a lull right now? And so taking on a couple extra work hours is really beneficial to me. And so instead of taking this time off, I'm going to be disciplined. I'm actually going to say, okay, I can work this time. I know it's going to be extra work and I really want to relax right now, but it's something that needs to get done.
That's really good to every once in a while reevaluate your priorities, because they do shift sometimes. I mean, you have your core values and your core things in life that are going to be priorities, but with the change of semesters or seasons, like those will change, and even on a weekly basis, because we all know college life is kind of crazy sometimes. Absolutely. And unexpected.
I feel like for me it changes on a daily basis.
That's true too, where you might think that you're doing one thing and you get swept off to a music gig. I don't know.
Well, no, literally last night I got texted, hey, concert next week, can you come play? Sure thing.
Sure, I'm down. We just move around my Google Calendar.
Yep.
That's awesome. To be able to say yes to those things is really cool, and that people know to reach out to you. So people listening, if you need a musician, reach out to Jesse Salinas, and I hope that this episode has been encouraging for you to either pick up an instrument or keep at it, or listen to classical music more. So we should all listen to classical more.
Listen to Dvorak. Dvorak's Ninth Symphony is the most amazing thing you can ever listen to.
Okay, you heard it here, because his recommendation would be better than mine. Well, thanks for sharing your advice today, and it's cool to see how passionate you are about music, and I hope to see a club in the future of what you were describing to give people the space that want to still practice music, but not in a rigorous way that's going to take away time where they need to spend somewhere else. Don't forget to like this video and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes with all the exciting guests we have coming up. We love hearing your stories and perspectives, so if you have one to share or you know of someone who you think would make a great guest on the podcast, reach out to us via the Student Life website, email studentlife@boisestate.edu, or DM us on Instagram. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Boise State Student Life. Thanks for listening. Now go get a student life.